Hi, I'm Randy Robison. This is Life Today TV. I have Lila Rose with me, and you may have heard her name on some major news programs. She is the founder of Live Action, which, well, you know what? I'll let Lila explain it. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Randy.
Tell those who may not know or may not be putting it together, what is Live Action? What does it do?
Of course. So Live Action is an organization that I lead. I founded at 15. I'm 26 now. And we are a media movement for life. So we work on creating educational campaigns. We do undercover investigative journalism to expose threats that are posed against the defenseless, particularly our preborn brothers and sisters, women, the abortion industry. We do a lot of investigative exposés of that. And we have the leading social media movement for the pro-life movement to rally young people to stand up for life.
Which all is very cool. And what people are wanting to know, they're like, wait a minute. She's the one that went into Planned Parenthood and busted them for all sorts of horrible things. That's you.
Me and teams of people now, since I retired from the actual undercover work a few years back. Yes, I have my photo up. They put my photo up on the walls and
so you can't go in.
Bleached my hair at one point to keep doing undercover work a few years back, but they put up the blonde photo, so I am...
You're busted.
I'm 26 years old and retired, but gratefully I work with a wonderful team of people, and there's a lot of brave folks out there who see the horror, see the evil of what's happening, and want to stand against it. Yeah. So we get to train a lot of investigative teams to continue the work.
Here's the thing that stumped me, because I've followed your stuff, I've watched your stuff, and I've been appalled by what goes on in Planned Parenthood specifically. And the taxpayer funding that keeps flowing their way. What will it take for us to realize that this is not a good organization?
We're getting there. So what we're seeing is a shift happening nationally, in hearts and minds, in communities. So there's politics, which is this constant knockdown, drag out fight of wars, of parties, of sometimes, unfortunately, egos. But what we're seeing, and there's some good folks who are leading on it, but what we're seeing is communities rejecting the abortion clinics that are near to their schools and their churches that are preying on their women. And that's something that's very powerful. So we actually have seen several dozen clinic closures in the last few years.
Okay.
Many of them Planned Parenthood abortion clinics that have closed, and ancillary clinics that feed their abortion centers.
Right.
And it's because of defunding, but it's also because of the focus of communities on praying outside the abortion clinics, counseling women in the communities who need help in unplanned pregnancy situations, which is extremely important. The involvement of local community governing powers saying we don't want to allow a zone for this abortion clinic. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it. And that power, the power of the people, is growing against the abortion industry. It's very exciting to see. Very
good to see. You know, one of the criticisms when I talk to people who are on the fence or pro-choice is, you know, well, Planned Parenthood, you know, they're doing things that the church is not doing, you know, and helping young girls and helping unwed mothers. And I'm like, you don't know the church, because I know people that do it. Are you seeing any kind of compensatory groundswell in church and Christian organizations to kind of fill the gap or even beat Planned Parenthood to the punch to help girls before they even go down that road?
It's a good question. I mean, the amazing thing that not many people know is there are more pregnancy care centers for women in this country than there are abortion clinics. Thousands of them set up across the nation, which are usually connected to churches often, and they provide free counseling, free resources for mothers, not just when they're pregnant, but when the baby's born. Yeah. Many of them are actually medical clinics as well. They provide ultrasound, or they can connect you to prenatal care through a doctor. So there's all kinds of resources like that. It's just a matter of getting the word out about them and making sure that the church is a place of compassion and open arms for anyone in a difficult situation. That's so crucial, because I think there's a shaming that happens. And if you get pregnant, it's okay if you're having sex and you're not supposed to, if you're committing maybe even adultery, as long as no one knows about it with a baby, then we can keep it hush-hush. But that baby is a gift. And if the church can see life as a gift and make sure that mothers or women who are feeling vulnerable feel welcome and that they have a place to go, and we learn how to teach the truth, but render it with love, then we can really compete with the abortion industry.
Yeah, I think it probably is a myth of the left that the church doesn't help. And so Planned Parenthood has to do what they do.
Well, one of the biggest names in healthcare are Catholic hospitals.
True.
And there, I mean, a lot, which is
unless Obama shuts them down.
Unless
right?
Obama shuts them down, because he's forcing them to provide things
Right.
that go against life and love,
Right.
and that, like abortions. So there's amazing currents, and there always have been. I was born in a Good Samaritan hospital, a Christian hospital, but what's happened is the corruption of medicine in our country, the push for it anyways, from those that are like in the abortion industry to try to normalize abortion.
Right.
I'll never forget talking to a medical student at UCLA, a young guy, and he came to our pro-life group one time. I'm an undergrad, he's a medical student, and he describes to me afterwards, he said, they made me watch an abortion. They want to make me do abortions. And I said, they don't have that right. Mm. Killing a child, the voluntary, specific, direct killing of a child is never necessary medically. It's not a treatment for a disease. Pregnancy is not a disease that needs to be cured.
Could it not be necessary if the life of the mother is at risk? Because that does happen.
It does happen.
And sometimes a couple has to make the awful decision of who do we try to save. We want to save both, but it can be difficult.
It can be difficult, but the difference is there's never a situation where it's medically necessary to directly kill that child. So for example, you're very right, there could be a situation where a mother's pregnant, and she gets cancer and she chooses to undergo chemotherapy, and that has an adverse effect on the child that's developing. Right. But that's the purpose of chemo is not to kill the child. Right. Or the mother could be, in another situation where it's a high-risk pregnancy and they want to deliver the baby early.
Right. So there are risky situations. But what you're saying,
exactly. But to go in there and poison the child, right. tear that child apart, right. stab the child like these abortion procedures may do, are never necessary. It doesn't somehow heal the mother. So that's one of the mythologies of the abortion industry, is that it's necessary. Meanwhile, in Ireland, which has been fighting to be abortion-free, one of the only remaining developed countries in the world that are fighting to be completely abortion-free, no exceptions, has something called the Dublin Declaration, where several hundred medical professionals, OBGYNs, nurse practitioners have signed the declaration saying that abortion is never medically necessary, direct abortion. You can spontaneously miscarry because of a treatment the mother's enduring, but the purpose of that treatment wasn't to kill a child.
Right, right.
And that's the important line that needs to be drawn to practice true medicine that follows the Hippocratic Oath, mm-hmm. which says, thou shalt not harm. Right. The number one duty of the doctor is to be the healer, not the harmer. Mm-hmm. And that's why abortion has led this country the wrong way.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'd like to talk forever, but
I could talk forever, so watch out.
But let me ask you, is there anything we should be looking for in the future that you can talk about yet?
There's something I can mention. We're always working on things at Live Action, our teams, our educational programs. We just finished a phenomenal filming that'll expose abortion in a way that's old yet new, that hasn't been done yet for our movement, to allow people an encounter with what happens to the child during abortion, because it's a horrific thing. It's a barbaric thing.
How is that not a horrific film?
It is a horrific film, but it has an inspiring ending, which you'll see, a very redemptive ending. But basically, one of the reasons I became pro-life is because I had an encounter as a little girl with what abortion does to a child. But when you talk in the heated and charged rhetoric, saying, women's rights, choice, reproductive freedom, terminating a pregnancy, you never actually recognize that there is a life, many times, that you can fully see the humanity.
Oh, sure.
Even in the first trimester, the arms, the legs, a newly formed face that's being destroyed violently. Yeah. And the scars, of course, left on the mother, sometimes physically, but always emotionally or psychologically. So that's one of the things we're working on, and I think it'll be extremely powerful in reaching my generation, which has the window to the womb of the ultrasound, but we're not always in touch with the violence that's done in these procedures that Planned Parenthood makes hundreds of dollars a procedure off of. And that's what we need to introduce to my generation.
Good work. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Your website?
liveaction.org, and then Facebook, Live Action. I'm Lila Grace Rose on Facebook and Twitter. And we're always releasing and spreading the word, and it's a movement. So there's hundreds of thousands of young people we're connected with, and this movement's growing, so I hope everyone joins.
Yep, great. Check it out. Check out the websites, and check out Lila when she's on Live Today. You can see that at lifetoday.org. good to see you. Thanks
Good to see
for
you
being
too.
here.
Thank
and
you.
come again.
Thank you.